Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Circle of the Earth Fellowship. We got a special episode this time. We're going to be talking about a book from 77 CE. I'm pretty excited about that. But like always, let's go ahead and say hello to everyone who has joined us today. And then we'll get into it. So I'll bring that up for everybody. Hope y'all are all doing well. Hope y'all are all having a wonderful Shabbat, those who celebrate it. And we will have a special guest coming in about an hour. So stay around, stick for that. I think we'll get another great brain to pick about some of the stuff that we're reading. Maybe get his thoughts about it or her thoughts. So anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and welcome our panel today. I'll start up top. Hey, Maggie, how you doing, sister? Good to have you again.
To be on this week.
Yeah, so last week Maggie forgot her phone at the farm, so she couldn't even be in chat. And I said, I was like, I bet your dad said something along the lines of like, I bet you won't make that mistake again. Sweet, awesome, and we have either. Yeah, you're like, I got it, check. Sweet. Well, welcome, Maggie, and we also got our dear sister Marcia with us. Welcome, Marcia.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be back again. YouTube is keeping Vader going, so we can get thumbs up for that. Yes, I am. Daughter. Son-in-law.
Shabbat Shalom, Vader. I saw your post there, what we're going to be doing here, and oh my goodness, when we're all done, I got some reading to do. Oh my goodness. I mean, really, come on, it's like looking at history, let alone looking at a history book that's say 100 years old, but looking at a history book that's like almost 2,000 years old. Oh my goodness.
Peter, they're saying you're muted.
No, he's not.
I know, but everybody can't hear.
Oh, they are. Oh.
Sound.
Y'all haven't heard me this entire time.
Oh no. Hey, there has to be.
Yeah, I do that. I do that. It's because of Discord. I have to switch it when I start the show. Okay, well, it's fixed, guys. I apologize, everyone. Others seem to be coming through, but not Vader, just Vader. Okay, it is just me. All right, so what we'll be doing today is reading through this book. Robert was alluding to it just briefly ago. And what this book is it was written in 77 CE, so a little less than 2,000 years ago, and we're going to be reading through various parts of it, and there's some really interesting, pretty out there information, but, you know, it makes us wonder, you know, looking from a perspective of someone 2,000 years ago and what they were seeing and observing compared to what we see now. There's a lot of interesting stuff, but I don't want to apologize. I think I'm good now. But let's go to our last, but not least, Kyle, Aetherial Creations. Welcome, brother. Shalom.
Thanks for having me on. Blessed. Excited to do tonight's show. Awesome subject.
Yeah. Yeah, and for those that didn't catch it, last week, or after every show, we do an after show. It starts 15 minutes after 9, so 9:15. I'm going to throw a link out in the chat of Circle of the Earth Fellowship. And if you'd like to join the after show or join the show now, you can also use that link to do to find the Discord, or you can find the link in the Discord of this you can find the link to the Discord in the description. Sweet. All right. Well, let's go ahead, since I'm mentioning all that stuff. Let's go ahead. I'm going to share screen, and we're going to go through some. Which one is it? Where'd it go? Oh, it's the new tab. Okay. Sorry, guys. All right. So I like to always. Oh, I gotta come over here and do it. It's so weird the way this works. So first, I'd like to shout out Take on the World. Chris and Liz Bailey allow other people from the community to post their videos on their platform and share. We like to share our puzzle pieces with their family, so we always like to shout them out and tell them we appreciate them for letting us do so. If you haven't heard of Take on the World, check it out. There's tons of great content from various creators, so it's definitely worth a subscription, and so definitely go show them some support. And of course, we have Circle of the Earth Fellowship, which is our channel, and we gave it a little a facelift. We have a new banner, a new logo for the main channel. Of course, we still have the globe up here. Sorry, the round table for our round table. But that's the new channel logo. If you didn't see that last week in our Jubilees. And so anyways, it really does help, if you would, oops, why did I do that? Oh, there we go. Sorry guys. Oh, it's doing it again. Oh, it's doing it. Yeah, okay, there we go. Oh, it's doing it again. There we go. So, if you would, please, as this indicates over here, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. So I would love to hit that 1,000 subscriber. Remember, when we do hit this 1,000 subscriber, we will be giving away a Sefer Bible, brand new. So all you have to do is be a subscriber and have left a comment on any of the videos, and you get entered in to win that. And I'm excited to do that. We're teeter-tottering around 900, so hopefully one day we will hit that 1,000 and someone will get a Sefer Bible. So that being said, like we always like to do, we read the comments from the last videos. So we'll start off with Take on the World. We just got one from our dear sister Moonglow. Thank you so much, sister, for always showing up and helping by throwing out that comment. I know it is free, but it does take your time, so we do appreciate the time that you take to do that. And then over on our channel, we got Penny Thort T3770 left us 3 breaking up. Yes, can hear it. Excellent movie. It's a start of exposing the darkness. So people were talking about the Sound of Freedom. What I will say, right, is there's all the different types of propaganda and stories that are portrayed within the media and the world at large. They do wake people up. Like, I personally know a family who were in the Mormon church when the whole beer bug thing came around and the whole face covering quote unquote mandate was made. That was their red line that made them start questioning everything, and they've started learning Torah and keeping the feasts and all of that stuff. So I totally think that people will watch that movie, and that will be the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back, that scales were removed and they started beginning to seek truth. However, you have to be honest about where it comes from and not idolize the people who created it and the people who are a part of it. because I would say there's very very suspicious elements within that movie and the people who created it. But of course, you're welcome to your own opinion, and I appreciate you sharing it.
That's in the theaters, right?
Uh-huh.
It's not you can see on TV. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Sweet. All right. Well, let's pull that bag up again. Sweet. So, last few couple things. We have a Discord. Again, the link is in the description. We do after shows after every stream. So if you'd like to join us, please do. And, okay, give me a second, guys. I have to do something. Before I forget. Let me do this really quickly. Okay, and then let me grab and need to grab that link. I basically just need to send the person who's going to be joining us the link to join. So that is why I am not showing the screen. I think he's already. Yes. Yeah, he's already here, so just need to. There we go. Almost done, guys. Appreciate you bearing with me while I set this up so that we can have a awesome guest. Sweet. All right, I'll bring us back up here. Here. There we go. All right. Apologize the little wait there. So yeah, Discord, we have an after show after everyone, and this is where we also are doing the live stream itself. So if you're ever interested and the spirit leads you to want to join the table and kind of throw in your 2 cents and share your pieces of the puzzle with the round table, anyone is more than welcome to join us. Yeah, that's how you do it. And the best way to support the channel is we have which got a facelift to match the YouTube, is the merch store. We sell various shirts and sweaters and things like that. Very cozy and comfortable. So if you'd like to support it, you get something out of the deal instead of it just being, money for money. If you do want to send money, if you'd like to do that, there is a donate option too. So that's a way that you can do it. I don't want to. I've never given. I'm not. This is not anything against other people, but I've never given money YouTube. I don't think YouTube has treated us very fairly. So I would rather people not support me through YouTube. I'd rather be supported on the outside of YouTube. Plus, through Streamlabs, if you do support the channel, I get way more percentage of it, like 95% more. So definitely a way to support. But if you can't do that, then just liking, subscribing, sharing, and commenting are huge. They really do help the channel grow. So we appreciate all those that do and continue subscribing to the channel. All right, last couple things. We like to read, so there's a lot of great resources on scripture and, tools for truth seekers out there, and a couple of those is Bible Gateway. It has a lot of different translations, a lot of great information, so definitely check it out. We like to read the first.
Is anybody hearing Peter badly? He sounds like a chipmunk, and then he's out. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
He sounds like a robot.
A robot. Yeah.
Okay, let me.
And you're sped up. All sped up.
Come and go. You'll sound normal, then it'll be like.
Interesting. Tell me if it continues to do it, or I think I may have fixed it. But just let me know if y'all continue to hear it.
Okay.
They're saying audio is gone again. Oh snap, Houston, we got another. This took too soon. Audio alert.
Wouldn't be. I didn't know if I should speak up about your voice.
All right, is that no, totally speak up about that. Is it doing the same thing now?
No.
All right, audio check with chat. Please chat, let me know if y'all can hear me good now or if it's still having issues. Come back over here. Someone sing fa la 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 la. Okay, let's bring this up again. Okay, sounds good, clear, perfect. All right, thank you everybody for your patience there. We like to read the last chapter, the verse of the day. This time it's from Matthew 16:15 through 16. It says, "He said unto them, But who say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. Oh, how dare you, Peter?" That is God. Why does it say the Son of the living God? Why doesn't it say thou art Christ, the living God? Well, because he's the Son of the living God. And I appreciate you sharing that wonderful verse with us today. So many people, please don't how dare you me. I'm just reading scripture. But yeah, so definitely check out Bible Gateway, a great resource. Another great resource is Bible Hub. They have various of the concordances and the different translations as well. So definitely a great resource. Another one that I personally like is the sacredtext.com. They do have the Apocrypha, so all the different books that were taken out during the quote-unquote canonization process. One of those books that changed my life is the Book of Enoch, and another one that changed my life was the Book of Jubilees. And there's many other to explore, and they're all within sacredtext.com, so definitely check that out. So that concludes our housekeeping. Thank you all for your patience. We're going to start getting into it. Last thing before we do is I just want to say hello to those that are in chat. And let me pull that up. Oops. And I will go ahead and pull that up. And we will say hellos. And then we'll get into it. So, why is it doing that? Interesting. Okay, there we go. Done.
We lost Robert.
Oh. He will be able to just join us when he can join us. So,
yep.
Sorry about your technical difficulties. It seems like we only have them when we try to do this. So let's say hello. We got Country Dad here with us. Welcome, brother. Hope you are doing well. Robert's in the chat as well. Welcome, brother. Hope you are doing well. I hope you can get that fixed. Of course, Marsha is in here. We got PJCnet. Welcome, brother. Or sister. Glad to see you. Country Kent, emissary of Shalom. Welcome, brother. So long as he unmutes himself, I know. But thank you all for letting me know. That really does help. There's a lot of buttons I got to press and a lot of things I got to remember. TD, welcome to the show. Let's see here. Don't want to miss anyone. Just scrolling through. Country Fun, our dear sister, welcome. And Sweet Kyle's in the chat as well. But yeah, thank you all for being here. And this is going to be exciting to talk about. There's so many interesting things that we got to share. So let's kind of get into it. So kind of little story about this book. We found it last week during our after show. We were just kind of talking about various things and chimeras came up. And Marsha was like, oh, there was this book. And that just inspired me to like, well, let's see what I can find. And I was looking through images at first, and then through, you know how it is when you're going through the internet, one link leads to another, and then eventually found this page. And this is a book that was written was written in 77 CE. So pretty interesting, over almost 2,000 years. And now I'm not saying that everything it says in this book is real. It is interesting, though, that there are points brought up. There's observations that are made in it that we don't see today. And, that has you thinking, well, is this guy just making stuff up, or is things, excuse me, have things changed in some ways? But lots of interesting stuff about this. And so I have a few things that this week I've been reading and I want to share with y'all, and I think it will spark some great conversations, and very much also connected to scripture we're going to show here. But yeah, we're going to have those on the panel. They gave this a brief over and kind of found something that was interesting. So most of them have picked a book that we're going to read together and kind of talk about. So that being said, we'll have more than enough to talk about, so we won't be shy on stuff to read. But yeah, let's get into it. It's so annoying that I have to do that. Okay, sweet. So I have always been very interested in animals. So when I saw this this part, which is book 8, The Nature of Terrestrial Animals, it really caught my attention. And we were reading through this last week, and I again throughout the week I was looking into this too. And there's so many interesting things. So to just give you a kind of quick peek. And let you kind of view all the different chapters as I introduce you to this. You can kind of see what is here, and of course, I'm gonna drop these links in the chat, and I will do that just here in just a minute. So those that are in chat, if they kind of want to look at this later or look at it with us now, we will at the end, closer to the end of the show. We're going to reach out, and if anyone found a part that they really thought was interesting or wanted to for us to read on stream, we're going to do like a vote or maybe a poll in chat to choose what that kind of last thing we'll read is. So yeah, lots of cool stuff here, and full of gravy, I believe. So yeah, so of course when I joined this, you got this first top here. Is a lot of focus on elephants, their capacity when elephants were first put into harnesses, the docility of the elephants, wonderful things which have been done by the elephant, the instincts of wild animals, and perceiving danger. So as I was reading through this list, this really jumped out to me, this instinct of wild animals and perceiving danger. And the reason why that stuck out to me is we see that happening in the book of Noah, right? The book of Noah. In Genesis, with Noah, we see that after the animals come off the ark, they now have the fear of man. And I think this really says it quite interestingly. So we'll go ahead and read this and see what y'all think about it. So this is chapter 5, The Instinct of Wild Animals and Perceiving Danger. It says, "It is a wonderful thing that most animals are aware why it is that they are sought after, and what it is that, under all circumstances, they have to guard against. When an elephant happens to meet a man in the desert who is merely wandering about, the animal, it is said, shows himself both merciful and kind, and even points out the way. But the very same animal, if he meets with the traces of a man before he meets the man himself, trembles in every limb for fear of an ambush, stops short and scents the wind, looks around him, and snorts aloud with rage, and then, without trampling upon the object, digs it up, and it passes it to the next one, who again passes it to the one that follows, and so on and so on from one to the other till it comes to the very last. The herd then faces about, returns, and ranges itself in order of battle. So strongly does the odor in all the cases attach itself to the human footstep, even though, as it is most frequently the case, the foot itself is not naked. In some way, too, the tigress, which is in dread of the other wild beasts, and which sees without alarm the traces even of the elephant itself, is set at once upon seeing the footsteps of man to carry off her whelps. How has the animal acquired this knowledge? And where has it seen him before, of whom it stands in such dread? Doubt there can be none that forest such as it haunts and but little frequented by man. It is not to be wondered at if they are astonished at the print of a footstep before unknown, but how should they know that there is anything that they ought to dread? And what is still more, why should they dread even the very sight of man, seeing that they are so far superior to him in strength and size and swiftness? No doubt such is the law of nature. Such is the influence of her power. The most savage and the very largest of wild beasts have never seen that which they have reason to fear, and yet instantly have an instinctual feeling of dread when the moment has come for them to fear. And it says, elephants always move in herds. The oldest takes the lead, and the next in the age brings up the rear. When they are crossing a river, they send over the smallest, for fear lest the weight of the largest ones may increase the depth of the channel by working away the bed of the river. We learn from Antipater that King Antiochus had 2 elephants, which he employed in his wars, and to which he had given the names of celebrated men, and that they were aware too of this mark of distinction. Cato in his annuals, while he has passed over in silence the names of the generals, has given that of an elephant called Surus, which fought with the greatest valor in the Carthaginian army, and had lost one of its tusks. When Antiochus was sounding the ford of a river, an elephant named Ajax, which on other occasion had always led the van, refused to enter the stream, upon which proclamation was made that the first rank should belong to one which should take the lead in passing over. One called Patroclus hazarded the attempt, and as a reward the king presented it with some silver pendants, a kind of ornament with which these animals are particularly delighted, and assigned it as all the other marks of command. Upon this, the elephant that had been degraded refused to take its food, and so preferred death to ignominy. Indeed, the senses of shame is wonderful, and when one of them has been conquered, it flies at the voice of the conqueror, and presents him with earth and vervain. These animals are sensible to feelings of modesty. Oops.
Scratchy.
Oh, my auto's going crazy.
Yep.
I am not doing anything, so...
Yeah, you're scratchy again.
And I'm frozen.
They're not yelling.
All right, is that better? Is the audio still scratchy?
Yep.
There you go.
All right, so it
Yeah.
has something to do with when my freezing, for whatever reason, my camera keeps freezing. But let's continue.
Yeah.
It says these animals are sensible to the feelings of modesty. They never couple, but in secret. The male after it has attained his 5th year, the female after the age of 10. It is said that their reproducing takes place over every 2nd year, and for 5 days only, and no more. On the 6th day they plunge into a river, before doing which they will not rejoin the herd. Adulterous reproduction is unknown to them, and they have none of these deadly combats for the possession of female, which takes place among the other animals. Nor is this because they are influenced by the passion of love. One in Egypt, we are told, fell in love with a woman who was a seller of garlands. And let no one suppose that he made a vulgar choice, for she was the especial object of the love as Astrophanes, which held the very highest rank as a Gramian. Another became attached to youth Medandaran, a native of Syracuse in the army of Ptolemy, which, whenever it did not see him, it would manifest the regret which is experienced by refusing its food. Juba gives an account also of a female who dealt in perfumes, to whom one of these creatures formed an attachment. All these animals manifested their attachment by signs of joy at the sight of the person, by their awkward caresses, and by keeping for them and throwing into their bosom the pieces of money which the public had given them. Nor, indeed, ought we be surprised that an animal with processes memory should be sensible of affection. For the same author relates that an elephant recognized, after the lapse of many years, an old man who had been its keeper in his youth. They would seem also to have an instinctual feeling of justice. King Bocchus once fastened 30 elephants to the stake, with the determination of wreaking his vengeance on them by means of 30 others. But though men kept sallying forth among them to goad them on, he could not, with all his endeavors, force them to become ministers of cruelty to others, so they wouldn't hurt the other elephants, no matter what they did. So we're not going to read all this. This is commentary about this. You're more free to go back and read the commentary. A lot of it is kind of hey, this is impossible type of language, but I don't want to get hung up in that. Oh, looks like my camera went crazy again. Sweet. So let's talk about that. Pretty interesting. Anything jump out to y'all? Or was it too much?
Well, quite a bit did. Well, I mean, it's interesting, and you mentioned this before, but that the animals know some type of honor system. The one wouldn't accept food unto death because it felt it was dishonored its master. So that's pretty crazy.
That's crazy, right? That an elephant would just you're muted, Marcia. That an elephant would just straight up die because he felt like he failed. Had that shame. That's crazy.
It is crazy.
You find that with like Roman soldiers, they would do their job to a point where if they screwed up at all, they would take their own lives. So I didn't know you found that in the animal kingdom.
Yeah, but the Roman soldier probably doesn't want to be tortured.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas the Japanese soldier, by honor, carry. Not so much in that article, but I know I've seen plenty of videos of the elephants and how they have community and family, and they care for the babies, and they'll go out of their way to protect each other's babies.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely that, and yeah, like what Kyle was saying too. I mean, yeah, there's something in nature, something that they have communication with, or who knows what. We don't know. The whales singing across the ocean, and calling each other.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy stuff.
And also how they approached people, that if they found their footsteps that they would be in fear for their life if they came across them first before, coming across their tracks, then they would lead them, point them out of the desert.
Yeah, it's like because
That's great.
it's almost like, right, because if they see the person, they can, like, whatever that is, that metaphysical, where they can kind of judge the person, whether a good person or a bad person, right? And then whereas if they just smell it or come across the tracks, like, they've probably seen a lot of different type of people, so they don't know really what they're dealing with, you know? So it's really interesting that they have the know how to understand that, but then there's that, like, instinctual part that makes them dread, you know, and they'll, like, pass around the object, like, hey, smell this, smell this, smell this. And then they, like, get ready for war, right? They're sniffing around for ambushes and sniffing the wind. Super duper interesting. And so again, this is chapter 5 from chapter 8, or section 8, chapter 5, and it's the instinct of wild animals in perceiving danger. But I want to bring this up. This is Genesis 9, and we're just going to read a couple verses here, and it says, "And God blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand they are delivered. For every morning that thou livest shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I giveth you all things." Oh, how dare you! But the flesh that with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. So just right there, right? Like, there was baked in after the flood that the animals would literally have this fear, have this dread over us. And this guy's obviously talking about it in this book. And, it's something that we can all tell. And in that real quick, that last part that I wanted to talk about that I thought was really interesting was how he's basically talking about how in forests where men have never stepped foot, right? When animals see that man, they're scared of him. And per the, mainstream view of creation, or the lack thereof, right? The Big Bang Theory and all that jazz, animals that never saw humans, never had humans hunt after them, etc. Why would those animals be scared if it's just about the experiences that they've gone through in life? And so it's really interesting to think that no matter where you go, these animals will be fearful of you, just as we showed in Genesis 9. So very interesting. Anything else that anyone wanted to point out about what we just read?
No, but if I came across a bear, I'd be scared of it.
They're as afraid of you as you are of them, Marsha.
Well, it's interesting. Go look at, encounters of bears, and they're very much like, they're very scared attacking. They're not like they don't just walk up to us like, what are you gonna do? Right? Oh, you're gonna climb that tree? Oh, look, I can climb trees too. Like, they're not confident, they're scared, and that's why they're aggressive.
You're muted, Kyle.
Sorry, yeah, I realize that. Unless, of course, it's mating season, or they're just right out of hibernation. Then they'll be hungry for anything.
Yeah, you want to be away from a mule, a moose as well.
Yeah.
I was being tentative when I was in Alaska on a mountain bike, and there was a moose in the path. I was like, stay away.
But don't you think fear goes into why that moose attacks? Like, I'm saying, just because the thing attacks you doesn't mean it's not fearful of you. Because sometimes the best defense is a good offense, right?
It's like bees, they don't generally attack you until they sense that pheromone you release that says that you're afraid.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's probably something similar all animals have, where they can, just kind of tell from afar what kind of state of mind you have.
I'd run from a moose, Robert. I would. I wouldn't want to be. They're kind of
Yeah,
dumb.
and yeah, of course, but they're doing that out of fear. They're not doing that because they're like, I'm better than you. Like they're literally,
Yeah, right.
Not,
But they're.
it's like a moose Hail Mary, you know, like, oh, I got to kill this thing before it gets me.
yeah. I was thinking about when you said about the fear, when you talk about the putting the fear in the animals to fear man. But also we talk about where Yahweh told Noah to he can start now eating the food.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think during the time that he was collecting the animals and when they're going on the ark, and Yahweh took the fear of man away from those animals so that they can do this thing, getting on the ship and doing their thing and making it through the flood. And once everything subsided, everything was all back in there on dry land, he gave them back the fear of man. Now, it doesn't. I don't know that. I don't think it says that they had a fear of man beforehand. But I'm thinking that they did have a fear of man beforehand, and he gave it back to them. Just like when we weren't eating animals until Yahweh said, "Okay, go ahead. It's okay to eat the animals now."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I don't so I was what were you gonna say, Kyle? I didn't mean to interrupt you, brother.
Oh, you're good. I just said I personally think that we've always been eating them since mankind has been made.
Well, yeah, because
Well,
I guess
this
during
way.
Cain and Abel, right? He made a animal sacrifice during.
Yeah, but they definitely didn't eat while they were on the ark. Animals because they needed all 7 pair and 2 pair, right?
Yeah.
Well, they need 2 pair, definitely, but if you had 7 of each clean animal, that would be enough food, I would think.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
But so you talked about bears. I'm gonna bring this up. This is a quick little section. This is actually the end of the book, chapter 84 of chapter 8 or section 8, and this is titled "Animals which." Oh nope, that's not the. Wait. Nope. This isn't the one I wanted. Give me a second. I think this is it. Give me a second, people. Okay, yeah, this is it. So this is 83. It's longer than that other one, but it's still pretty short. So this is 83 places in which certain animals are not to be found. And this goes along with what you were talking about, bears. And I learned a very interesting thing from this. So it is a remarkable fact that nature has not only assigned different countries to different animals, but that even in the same country, it has denied certain species to particular locations. In Italy, the dormouse is found in one part only, the Messian forest. In Lycia, the gazelle never passes beyond the mountains which border up upon Syria, nor does the wild ass that is in the vicinity pass over those which divide Cappadocia from Sicily. On the banks of the Hellespont, the stags never pass into a strange territory, and about Arganusa they never go beyond Mount Elephas. Those upon the mountain too that have cloven ears. In the island of Porosaline, the weasels which not so much as cross a certain road. In Botosia, the moles which were introduced at Lapundia
Ranger, you're doing it again.
Reggie.
Yeah, it has something to do with my camera because every time my camera starts freezing, it starts doing that to my sound. I'm clear now, right? Or no? Oh.
Right now.
Okay.
Yeah, this thing's good. Maybe try a new USB port.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can't do that right now, but I will totally. I think it's the camera itself. It's pretty old. I bought a new one, but it doesn't work with Discord. So, anyways, in Bosita, the moles that were introduced at Lebedia fly from the very soil of that country, while in the neighborhood at Okameninas, the very same animals tear up all the fields. We have seen clovelets for beds made of skins of these creatures, so that our sense of religion does not prevent us from employing this odious animals for the purposes of luxury. When hares have been brought to Ithaca, they die as soon as they touch the shore. And the same is the case with the rabbits on the shores of the island of Ubessus. While they are abound in the vicinity, Spain, namely, and the Balearic Isles. In Cyrene, the frogs were formerly dumb, and this species still exists, although croaking once were carried over from the continent. At the present day, even the frogs in the island of Seriphus are dumb, but when they are carried to other places, they croak. The same thing is also said to have taken place at Syncandrus, a lake of Thessaly. In Italy, the bite of the shrew mouse is venomous, an animal which is not to be found in any region beyond the Epiphanies. In whatever country it exists, it always dies immediately if it goes across the rut made by a wheel. Upon Olympus, a mountain of Macedonia, there are no wolves, nor yet in the Isles of Crete. In this island there are neither foxes nor bears, nor indeed any kind of baneful animal, with the exception of the phalagum, a species of spider, on which I shall speak in its appropriate place. It is a thing still more remarkable that in this island there are no stags except this district of Sidon. The same is the case with the wild boar, the woodcock, and the hedgehog. In Africa there are neither wild boars, stags, deer, nor bears. So that last part, Africa, this made me think of Owen Benjamin. There's no bears in Africa. I wonder why. But no, I kid. But if you look that up, guys, there's no type of species of bear in Africa. Even if you Google that, it will say, nope, no species of bears live in Africa. Isn't that really interesting? And so, really, real quick to sum up this concept it's literally talking about there's, like, we say that there's just lines on a map, right? It's just lines on a piece of paper, but animals have these instinctual lines where they will live in a certain area, but right over the mountain, which they could totally travel, they don't. They stay in that area. And we do see a lot of places where you only get this, this particular animal or creature that exists, but doesn't exist in any other form in any other place in the world. And it's really interesting. Any thoughts, any parts that jumped out to y'all, peeps?
Well,
They,
that's the same
go
with
ahead.
plants, right? Species of plants are only found in certain areas too.
Uh-huh.
So it's all,
Because they can be grown elsewhere though.
but they can, but not as well. Let's say tropical to come in here or whatever. They can, but it's almost like Yop made it that way. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what it is. And did you? I don't know if y'all heard it because I know that was a little bit a mouthful, but there were frogs who they considered dumb, meaning they would not croak, right? And frogs croak so that they can find a mate, so they can reproduce, so there can be more frogs. But they were saying that these frogs were quote unquote dumb. But when they moved those frogs from the location where they were, from the location where they came from, the frogs would start croaking again. they would stop being dumb and start trying to breed again.
And the rabbits would, as soon as they were placed on the beach, they would die. And I don't remember what it was, maybe frogs also. As soon as they went into the rut of where a tire, like laid its indent on the road, it died. It's really, really strange. I wonder if there's any way to test this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, still very interesting. All that different things, and we can see that that's true, right? Because like we don't have lions that just naturally, like if lions wanted to, they could come over to America, right? Like they could find a way to travel here, but they don't. They stay right where they are, and they've stayed there for thousands of years. And it's pretty interesting. Sweet. All right. Well, let's continue on. I'm gonna check chat. The frog. Let's see here. I'll bring this up. It's gonna get rid of that for a second. Let's get rid of that then. Sweet. Bring this over. Let's see here. PJCnet said, that's amazing. Humans have interfered with a lot of natural habitat these days, but it's interesting that the species don't cross. Yeah, absolutely. And he also said the frog croaking when they moved it is super interesting. I know, like the fact that it would, I don't know. It is very interesting. You get lions in zoos and in safari parks. Yeah, but I'm just saying naturally, like they could make their way over here. Bears could swim like we've seen crazy stuff like that before, so it's just interesting that they don't move at all. Nubs Revenge says the horse, the bear, the camel, the lion, the elephant, the cheetah, all from North and South America. Interesting. The Lions never win the Super Bowl. Nice. Lions are from America. Yeah, we're gonna read a little bit more about lions, but what were you gonna say there?
Oh, as in koala bears, like in Australia and whatever, they only eat like eucalyptus. So they have their food there. They're not going to travel where there's none of the.
Exactly, right? And that, like you were saying, plants only grow in certain areas too. So yeah, that in the kind of world that we're sold in mainstream media, you would think every creation would try to spread and multiply as much as possible and go as much around the area, but they don't do that. They know what works and they stay where it works, and they're perfectly in sync with nature.
Do zookeepers ever run into these problems? I wonder.
Yeah, who knows? That's an interesting thought. Let's see. Emissary of Elohim said, the hint is in Deuteronomy 33:7-10. His glory is like the firstling of his bullock, and our horns are like the horns of unicorns. With them he shall push the people together to the ends of the earth, and they are 10,000s of the Ephraim, and they are 10,000s of the Manasseh. Interesting. Yeah, that unicorn. I think that's actually talking about the rhinoceros, if you kind of dig into it. Yeah, because I don't know if you know this, but even in per science, rhinoceroses and horses are very closely related. So even to say that at one point there was a horse with a horn is not far off. But you can find evidence showing that when it's saying unicorn there in that it's actually talking about a rhinoceros. Our name rhinoceros wouldn't be the same for what it was back then. All right, sweet. Let's pull up the next section. And we're going to be going up. Oh, wrong one. We're going to be going up a little bit back.
Lions, someone said, are from America.
Yeah, that's what Nub's Revenge was saying. I did see some things.
I mean, like a lion, the lion, because, well. in the lion family? We've got cougars. We've
All right.
got.
Well, we got chapter 17. So chapter 7, we're going to read actually a couple of the lions. But
Okay.
this is chapter 17, lions, how they are produced. It is a remarkable fact that pards, panthers, lions, and other animals of this kind walk with the points of their nails concealing in the sheath in their body, lest they should be broken or blunted, and that when they run, their hooks are clawed backwards and are never extended except in the fact of seizing their prey. The noble appearance of the lion is more especial to be seen in that species that which the neck and the shoulders covered with a mane, which is always acquired at the proper age by the produced from a lion. While on the other hand, those that are the offspring of the pard are always without this distinction. The female also has no mane. The reproduction passions of these animals are very violent and render the male quite furious. This is especially the case in Africa, where, in consequence of great scarcity of water, the wild beasts assemble in great numbers on the banks of a few rivers. This is also the reason why so many curious varieties of animals are produced there, the males and females of the various species coupling promiscuously with each other. Hence arose the saying, which was common in Greece even, that Africa is always unfaithful to is always producing something new. The lion recognizes by the particular odor of the pard which the lioness has been when the lioness has been unfaithful to him, and avenges himself with the greatest fury. Hence it is that the female which has been guilty of a lapse washes herself or else follows the lion at a considerable distance. I find that it was a common belief that lionesses is able to bear young no more than once, because while delivering herself she tears her womb with her claws. Aristotle, however, gives a different account, a man of whom I think that I ought here to make some further mention, seeing that upon these subjects I intend in a great measure to make him my guide. Alexander the Great, being infamed with a strong desire to become acquainted with the natures of animals, entrusted the prosecution of the design to Aristotle. Oops, sorry, chat. Let's get rid of this for now. Bring that back up. A man who held the highest rank in every branch of learning, for which purposes he placed under his command some thousands of men in every region of Asia and Greece, and compromising all those who followed the business of hunting, fowling, or fishing, or who had care of parks, herds of cattle, breeds of bees, fish ponds, and aviaries, in order that no creature that was known to exist might escape his notice. By means of the information which he obtained from these persons, he was enabled to compose some 50 volumes, which are deservedly esteemed, on the subject of animals. Of these I purpose to epitome, together with the facts which Aristotle was unacquainted, and I beg the kind of indulgence of my readers in their estimate of this work of mine, as by aid they hastily travel through all the works of nature, and through the midst of the subjects which most famous of all kings so ardently desired to be acquainted. Almost done here, guys. Pretty interesting stuff so far. Aristotle then informs us that the lioness at the first birth produces 5 whelps and 1 less every succeeding year, until after produced only one she ceases to bear. The young ones when first born are shapeless and extremely small in flesh. Being no larger than a weasel for 6 months, they are scarcely able to walk, and until they are 2 months old they cannot move. Lions, he says, are found in Europe, but only between the rivers of Achelous and Nestus, being much superior in strength to those which are produced in Africa or Syria.
Interesting.
So, and apparently the part of penny, as we shall stated below, is a male of the panther. That's very interesting. So this was written 77 CE. I'm not saying just because it's old it makes sense. This is saying that there was lions all the way up in Europe, but not in. It doesn't say anything about the Americas, but you know, did they not know about the Americas? Could totally be a thing. Welcome everybody. We have Sean with Kingdom from Kingdom and Context joining us, brother. I hope you had a restful Sabbath, and glad you're able to join us.
Hey guys, hope you all had a good day too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So to kind of get you caught up, I don't know if you got a chance to read or check out what we're talking about. This is a book written in 77 CE. And it's called Naturalis Historia, and we've been just kind of reading through it, and there's some kind of interesting things, some things that kind of are outright different than as we expected, and we'll get more into that. But I will, if you look in Discord on the left, there should be the bulletin board. If you go to the bulletin board, is a link to this book that I'm looking that we're reading through. So if you'd like to check out what we're looking at, you can do it there, or you can obviously, if you click on the live stream here in Discord, you can see it on screen as well.
What chapter are we on now?
This is 17, lions and how they're produced. But it was kind of interesting where it was basically saying that in Africa, as he's describing, that panthers and various other cats, right, were in animals were forced to all eat, you know, lots of them were forced to drink from, you know, the few rivers and things that existed, which led to these lions interbreeding. And what's really interesting and obviously goes against what we've been taught about evolution, but right here in or kind of it says, hence arose the saying which was common in Greece, even that Africa is always producing something new. I thought that took millions and millions of years to produce something new, where something all of a sudden was changed. But they had a saying, a common saying, that Africa is always producing something new. Pretty interesting, right? Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. But let's go to the next one on lions. See if we can kind of jump into a more the different species of the lions. This is chapter 18. What we're gonna read next. This one's pretty short. It's just this top part. So it says, there are two species of lion. In one, the body is shorter and more compact, and the mane more crisp and curly. These are more timid than those with a longer body and straight hair, which in fact have no fear of wounds. The males rise the leg like the dog when they pass their urine, which has a most disagreeable odor. The same being the case too with their breath. They seldom drink and only take food every other day. When they have gorged themselves, they will sometimes go without food for 3 days. There goes my camera again. They swallow their food whole without mastication so far as they are able, and they have taken more than their stomach can possibly receive. They extract part of it by thrusting their claws into their throat. The same too, if they are full, they have occasion to take flight. That they are very long-lived is proved by fact that many of them are found without teeth. Polybius, the companion of Amarilianus, tells us that when they become aged, they will attack men, as they have no longer sufficient strength for the pursuit of wild beasts. It is then that they lay siege to the cities of Africa, and for this reason it was that he was as a Scipio and had been had seen some of them hung upon a cross, it being supposed that others, through dread of a similar punishment, may be deterred from committing the like outrages. Interesting. That's pretty interesting. So they have been witnessed so much, been found without teeth so many times, that that's a pretty good indication that they live a long life. It's interesting. All right.
Passed over Kyle's chapter 12.
Huh?
I wanted to go into chapter 12. Chapter 12.
Oh.
We were back in elephants where he wants to.
Yeah, let's go to chapter 12. I'm totally down for that. This is the one Kyle was bringing up earlier, right? The sagacity of these animals. Scarcity?
Sagacity.
Sagacity.
Okay.
Oh. That's an interesting word. Okay, so chapter 12. The sagacity which every animal exhibits in his own belief is wonderful, but in these things it is remarkably so. The dragon has much difficulty in climbing up to such a great height, and therefore watches the road, which bears marks of their footprints when they are going to feed. It darts down upon them from a lofty tree. The elephant knows that it is quite unable to struggle against the folds of the serpent, and so seeks for trees or rocks against which to rub itself. The dragon is on its guard against this and tries to prevent it by first of all confining the legs of the elephant with the folds of its tail, while the elephant, on the other hand, endeavors to disengage itself with its trunk. The dragon, however, thrusts its head into its nostrils, and thus, at the same moment, stops the breath and wounds the most tender part. When it is met unexpectedly, the dragon raises itself up, faces its opponent, and flies more especially at the eyes. This is the reason why elephants are so often found blind and worn to a skeleton with hunger and misery. What other causes can one assign for such mighty strifes as these, except the natural is Doricious, as it were, to make an exhibition for herself in pitting such opponents against each other? There is another story too told in relation to these combats. The blood of the elephants, it is said, is remarkable cold, for which reason is the parching of heat of summer. It is sought by the dragon, which is remarkably avidity. It lies, therefore, coiled up and concealed in the rivers, and wait for the elephants when they come to drink, upon which it darts out, fastens itself around the trunk, and then tries to then fixes its teeth behind the ear. And being the only place which the elephant cannot protect with the trunk, the dragon, it is said, are of such vast size that they swallow the whole of the blood. Consequently, the elephant, being thus drained of its blood, falls to the earth exhausted, while the dragon, intoxicated with the draught, is crushed beneath it and so shares its fate.
People in the chat are asking, dragon? What animal do they mean by dragon? Started out as a snake, but then or not?
Well, it gives it kind of different descriptions, right? Because it's like, so one part it's saying that it puts its head up its nose, right?
Yeah.
So, but to think of the size of a hole of a trunk, right? Like, that's not that big, but it's saying that the snake is also so big that when it drinks its blood, it drinks it all in one drink. It's like, and drinks it all up. But what's kind of interesting is it's saying that here in the end, that the dragon will wait in the water, and basically it gets to drink the elephant, but then the elephant and the snake die, or the dragon die, because of the intoxication from drinking it. That's really interesting.
By the weight of the elephant, I think it
Yeah.
crushes him.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine drinking all the elephants. But then I've watched a snake swallow a rabbit hole, so I guess.
Yeah. No, and I guess kind of my point is that why are we seeing such vastly different descriptions of things that
Right.
like this stuff is like, wait, what is it saying? What's happening? What animals is it talking about? And I just think that that's very interesting. Again, that this is 2,000 years, you know, a little less than 2,000 years old. And we're seeing we're reading this, and it's very interesting. Sorry, just reading some chat. It's only because we've been told that. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. They can't mean the mythical dragon. Yeah, like I think that word dragon has been, you know, kind of replaced with dinosaurs and other things, but very, very interesting nonetheless. All right. Well, we did Marsha's. Anyone else have something that they kind of saw and they were like interested in reading it? Robert, Maggie, Kyle.
You already kind of did mine. The one where the animals don't migrate to other places. Who was that? I was talking about that last week.
Yeah, we were. It was us talking about it.
From the Owen Benjamin. You're watching.
And then I don't know. This other thing about the wolf, chapter 34. That gets into weird. They started talking a little bit about men becoming wolves, but it's.
All right, well, let's check this out. So this is chapter.
What, like a werewolf?
This is this is chapter 34, wolves, the origin and the of the story of Versius Bellus, which is, you know, wolves. All right, so it says, in Italy also it is believed that there is a nauseous influence in the eye of a wolf. It is supposed that it will instantly take away the voice of a man. It is the first, if it is the first to see him. Africa and Egypt produce wolves on a sluggish and stunted nature. Those of the colder climates are fierce and savage. That men have been turned into wolves and again restored to their original form, we must confidently look upon as untrue, unless indeed we are ready to believe all the tales which for so many ages have been found to be fabulous. But as the belief of it has become so firmly fixed in the minds of the common people, as to have called the term versus spellus to be used as a common form of imprecation, I will here point out its origin. Euthyphus, a Grecian author of no mean repetition, informs us that the Arcadians assert that a member of the family of Aethus is chosen by lot, and then taken to a certain lake in that district, where, after suspending his clothes on an oak, he swims across the water and goes away into the desert, where he is changed into a wolf and associates with other animals of the same species from a space of 9 years. Real quick, isn't there a story in scripture where there's the guy who goes wild? I can't think it off the top of my head.
There's a king.
That's the King Nebuchadnezzar. Yeah.
How long was he crazy for?
7 years.
7 years.
That's kind of close to that 9 years. That's kind of interesting. So it says, if he was kept himself from beholding a man during the whole of that time, he returns to the same lake, and after swimming across it, resumes his original form, only with the addition of 9 years in age to his former appearance. To this, Fabius adds that he takes his former clothes as well, It is really wonderful to what length the credulity of the Greeks will go. There is no falsehood, if ever so barefaced, to which some of them cannot be found to bear testimony. So too Agropas, who wrote the Olympionics, informs us that Damantius the Phaeacian, during a sacrifice of human victims, oh look, we have some of that going on, which arcanes were offering to the same Jupiter, guys, we all know what that means, tested the entrails of oh my gosh, who had been killed, who had been unalived, upon which he was turned into a wolf, but 10 years afterwards were restored to his original shape and his calling of an athlete, and returned victoriously in the pugilist contest at the Olympic Games. Very interesting. Let's see what else. I think we got more. It is also commonly supposed that the tail of this animal contains a small lock of hair, which possesses an automatic power, and that which, when the creature is caught, this hair is shed by it, and has no virtue whatsoever unless it is procured from the animal while alive. It is said that these animals couple for no more than 12 days in the year, and that when pressed by hunger they will eat earth. Among the points of inquiry to our progress cut short to the right by a wolf, if at the time its mouth is full, it's the best of omens. There is a species which is known as the stag wolf, such as he already said were brought from Gaul and exhibited in circuses by Pontius Magnus. It is said that, however hungry these animals may chance to be, if it only turns its head while eating, it immediately becomes oblivious of food that it was that it was before it, and takes its departure to seek it elsewhere. It's interesting. Yeah, that's kind of weird. I think he's kind of discrediting saying that people turn into wolves. But I do think there's kind of an interesting thing with that 7-9 year thing, and him going out and being like a wild beast. That's kind of interesting. I'm not saying he turned into an animal, but I don't know.
Looked like one.
Yeah.
Ate like one.
Not to mention all the references to Jupiter and the organs, the entrails, and having the blood in the mouth, all the other occult rituals.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very weird people that like weird stuff. Sweet Maggie, did you find anything that you wanted to pick out that you made a note of? No? Okay, no worries. Let's read this one. This is this one's about serpents. So this one's chapter, okay, if I'll load, different kinds of serpents. So it says, with reference to serpents, it is generally known that they assume the color of the soil in which they conceal themselves. The different species of them are innumerable. The celestes have little horns, often 4 in number, projecting from the body, by the movement of which it attracts birds, while the rest of its body lies concealed. The amphibian has 2 heads. That is to say, it has a second one at the tail, as though one mouth were too little for discharge of all its venom. Some serpents have scales, some have molted skin, and they all possess a deadly poison. The ejaculus darts from the branches of the trees, and is not only to our feet that the serpent is formidable, excuse me, everyone, for they fly through the air even, just as though they were hurled from an engine. The neck of the asp puffs out, and there is no remedy whatever against its sting except the instant incision of the affected part. This reptile, which is thus deadly, is possessed of one sense of rather affection. The male and the female are generally found together, and the one cannot live without the other. Hence it is that if one of them happens to be killed, the other takes incredible pains to avenge its death. It follows the slayer of its mate and will single him out among even such a large number of people by a sort of instinctive knowledge. With this object, it overcomes all difficulties, travels any distances, and is only to be avoided by the intervention of rivers or an accelerated flight, which is really interesting. It is really difficult to decide whether nature has altogether been more liberal of good or of evil. First of all, however, she has given to this pest but weak powers of sight, and has placed the eyes not in the front of the head so that it may see straight before it, but in the temple, so that it is more frequently put into motion by the approach of footsteps than through sight. The Ichamon too is its enemy to the very death. Okay, so real quick in this, we got more to talk about, but this part right here, it says the joculus darts from the branches of the trees and is not only to our feet that the serpent is formidable, for these fly through the air even just as they were hurled from an engine. Okay, so real quick, they're talking about accelerated flight and talking about an engine in 77 CE. Just think about that, guys. But more specifically, while you think about that, this joculus right here. So I came down here to this joculus and it said, Lucian mentions the Laculus in this page, in the Pashas he says, behold, afar around the trunk of a barren tree, a fierce serpent, Africa, calls it the joculus wreathes itself, then darts forth and through the head and pierce the temples of Palaemus if it takes its flight. Nothing does venom their effect. Death seizes him through the wound. It is then understood how slowly fly the stones which are sling hurts, how sluggishly whistles the flight of the Sicilian arrow. So I went into, I think it's down here a little bit more. Find that. Give me 1 second. Maybe it's on a different page. Let me go down to 5 real quick. Let me search it this way. I'm gonna bring this up real quick. Oh, wrong one. Like this. Okay, so what was that word that it was? So that word, joculus, I looked that word up. Y'all can see me kind of go along as I do this. And it's right here. So let me bring that back up for everyone. So it led me to here, and I followed this link. And this is bestiary.ca. So it says joculus, enticus, all the different other names, category serpent, a flying serpent. And it says, the joculus is a serpent that can fly. It hides in a tree until an animal passes underneath and then throws itself down on the animal and kills it. So I went to sources just because I wanted to see where they were getting this information from. And there it goes. Actually change that time. And so down here, Thomas of Cantimpré, circa 1200 to 1272 CE, in this book, says, as Solsonus says, Elica are serpents, so called because of their own destructiveness. These have wings to fly into the trees and hide, from where they drop to penetrate with great force any animal fortune put in their way. This serpent is called in Psalms a flying arrow. So I went and I looked up Psalms flying arrow. Do that real quick. And I don't know if you've ever saw this, Sean. Oh, it didn't. Okay, there it goes. And so that's Psalms 91:5, and my camera's being crazy again. And I'll pull this up for everyone if it would load. Let's just do it like this. 90. That was Psalms 91. Just bring this up so everybody can see it. Man, things are going so slow. Where was that? Let me just do a quick search. Where's it doing it at? I need it over here. There we go. Bring that back. Okay, so right here, thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. So that flieth by day, the arrow that flieth by day, is said to be mentioned here. That same word that was in Latin for flying arrow was the same name of this animal. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. Here we go. Nope, wrong one. Got too many things open. Let me close some of these. So that Jaculus, also called in Greek, it's mentioned multiple times. It's mentioned multiple times. But I think it's really interesting that it's mentioned in the Bible, right? Because like those flying arrows could simply have just been real arrows. But it's kind of interesting that this website here, the beastery.ca, and furthermore Thomas of Cantimpré, however you pronounce that, is making that serpent is called in Psalms a flying arrow. Have you ever seen anything about that, Sean, or any thoughts about it?
I'm pretty sure in the book of Numbers there's flying serpents. Remember, they came and was part of the judgment at one point.
Uh-huh.
Could just be another metaphoric or synonym reference for a flying serpent, possibly.
Which is interesting, right? Because like that's how that happens with scripture, right? Like how something called, like an animal called the flying arrow, could then be kind of lost in translation when we read it in English. It's just like it doesn't say the serpent a flying arrow, right? Like we have no indication other than the words, which is pretty interesting.
I think Rob Skiba talked about a book that I need to get, that he had found, a book from the late 1800s, all the idioms and turns of phrases and phrases of speech from the Bible.
Yeah, that would be interesting for sure.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah. Okay, there's some more other things that this kind of reference in here. But I thought these were kind of good commentaries, and it brings up the scripture too. So, in scripture where you have the whole interaction with Moses and his staff, and then the sorcerers of the Pharaoh and his staff.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
here in this section right here, it says Culver says that Geoffrey St. Hilary or whatever, Hilary, has identified this animal with the cobra Havi of Illinois, which has from the earliest ages been known as a native of Egypt, right? And we always see the cobra on the forehead. And where it still exists. Its two most remarkable characteristics are those here referred to: the puffing out of the neck when enraged, and its capacity of being tamed, or as it is styled, enchanted. So real quick to explain what I'm reading right here, this is commentary on the book itself by the person who originally translated it. And so that's what all these numbered sections are here. So it's really interesting that they're stating this as like more of like a fact check to this book. But it says this last has been taken advantage of by the jugglers of that country from the most remote antiquity, as appears from the writings of Moses, and something of a similar nature is still practiced. They remove the poison fangs as to render the animal harmless, and by certain sounds render it obedient to their call. It appears also that by pressing on the upper part of the spine, the animal is rendered paralytic and may be used to and may be said to be changed into a rod. This fact was witnessed by Saint Hilary. The cobra asp is described by Aristotle and is frequently mentioned by the Layan. Galen speaks of its deadly poison, which is in the Theoretica and all that stuff. The bite of the asp may be cured with vinegar. So I don't know if you caught that, Sean, but he that basically saying there's this spot on the spine where if they press it, the snake like is frozen into a rod.
Oh, interesting.
That would actually make sense with the things I'm going to be showing my 42 series coming up about Mesopotamian magic, Babylonian magic, because they equated magic to medical sciences, and this would definitely classify as having an understanding of the the venom of the cobra, the behavior of the cobra, the manipulation of the cobra, and also doing something within its physiology to create it, as a stiff as a board.
Yeah.
So that would make a lot of sense if that's what it's referring to as magic and not some sort of transubstantiation.
Yeah, and it's almost like the rod, like it kind of changes the dynamic of the story to me when I first read this, because Moses's rod was a rod of wood that turned into a snake, whereas their rods were literally snakes, and they're like, oh, we can do that too. Boom. Right? But the reason why the stick snake ate them is because they couldn't defend themselves. They didn't have any fangs to bite with.
Or they were just paralyzed. And also having Moses' rod being flowing with the power of the Holy Spirit, of God's power, would have been actual transubstantiation versus just trickery of knowing how to make a snake paralyzed.
Right, and we know that all their signs were lying signs and wonders. Right,
which is why they couldn't replicate all of them.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's interesting that he picked that thing. He's like, oh, you think you're so smart about snakes? Look at this. But this last part is kind of interesting into the same thing about the manipulation. Here in 10, it says, the method of attracting this serpent by imitating the voice of the female proves that there is some foundation for this statement. So it's saying that they could even manipulate the male cobras by imitating the sound that the females would make.
Bro, this would be like if Hollywood got a hold of this information, the next Moses movie you see is going to be Moses as a snake handler.
Yeah.
And on the burning bush moment, it would be him picking up a snake out of the bush, and that's the rod that and he makes it paralyzed, and then he's got it wrapped around his neck when he comes back to see his brother Aaron, and they would totally use this to manipulate this and do away with the actual miraculous power of God.
Yeah. But I think also you could kind of, at least for me, it makes it even more miraculous, because that was kind of something I didn't understand. But knowing like that's exactly what they were doing. They were doing this type of style of thing, and that's how they were manipulating power, right? They like just the act of like, I am holding this staff that looks like a real serpent. And if I can enchant the rod to come alive, right? But they're just manipulating creation in a way to deceive their fellow neighbors. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean they would do this with a lot of things, I imagine. Yeah, for sure. I've got a chapter I would love to look at if you guys want to go to a chapter.
Yeah, let's see it.
Go to 71, I think.
70.
Egyptian Apis.
Yep. Sweet. And I'll bring it up for chat. Let's read it. So it says the Egyptian Apis. In Egypt, an ox is is ever worshipped as a deity. They call it Apis. It is distinguished by a conspicuous white spot on the right side in the form of a crescent. There is a knot under the tongue, which is called the catharis. This ox is not allowed to live beyond a certain number of years. It is destroyed by being drowned in the fountain of the priests. They then go amid general mourning and seek another ox to replace it, and the mourning is continued with their heads shaved until such as they have found one. It is not long, however, at any time before they meet with a successor. When one has been found, it is brought by the priest to Memphis. There are 2 temples appropriated to it, which are called Nathalim, and to these the people resort to learn the auguries. According as the ox enters the one of the other of these places, the augury is deemed favorable or unfavorable. It gives answers to individuals by taking food from the hand of those who consult it. Wow, oh my God, giving food to idols. It had turned away from the land of Germanicus Caesar. And that's kind of weird, Germanicus Caesar, and not long after he died. In general,
go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt. I was just say that remember Rome was taking over Germanica during these years. If this was written in 77 BC, you said?
CE, whatever that is.
Okay, so 77 years after.
Yeah.
So Rome was doing the conquest against all of what we would consider Europe today, trying to take over all of it, which most of it used to be Germanica.
Yeah.
Real quick though, also you mentioned auguries.
Uh-huh.
That means omens. So the people resort to learn the omens. So they went to the temples of the Apis bull to learn the omens as it spoke to them. So this thing was literally giving out prophecy and talking, or at least he claims it was.
Yeah. And we literally say by taking the food from the hand of who consults it. Like they're literally consulting this ox, this Apis. But I'll continue. In general, it lives in secret, but when it comes forth in public, the multitudes make way for it, and it is attended by a crowd of boys. Yeah, the sound of freedom. Singing hymns in honor of it. It appears to be sensible of the adoration thus paid to it, and to court it. The crowds, too, suddenly become inspired and predict future events. Once in a year, a female is presented to the ox, which likewise has her appropriate marks, although different from those on the male, and is said that she always killed the very day they find her. There is a spot in the Nile near Memphis, which, from its figure, they call Thalia. Here they throw into water a dish of gold and another of silver every year upon the days of which they celebrate the birth of Apis. These days are 7 in number, and is a remarkable thing that during this time no one is ever attacked by the crocodile on the 8th day. However, after 6 hours, these beasts resume all their former ferocity.
A 7-day festival to Baal, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like Christmas,
where people are bringing food to the idol, and also, it gives me this weird feeling of how much modern day Orthodox Judaism makes such a big deal about the red heifers.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, bro, you don't have a temple, you don't have an ordained priesthood or temple. Who cares if you have a red heifer? You can just go ahead and you could use some Dawn dish soap and clean yourself for now. None of it matters, you know? Like,
Yep.
the red heifer doesn't matter. But they make such a deal of it, man.
Yeah, and they're willing to break nature to get that cow back.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're willing to do genetic
All I know,
modification.
I'm just wondering where this spot is in the Nile, because apparently there's a lot of gold and silver dishes. At the
I
bottom.
literally thought the same thing. I was gonna say, like, man, we gotta go search this spot, man. We'll be rich.
This is your next Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. Let's see if there's any other tidbits.
So it
of
makes you
information.
wonder if they had an actual real bull and it wasn't always a wood, stone, or metal representation.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you wonder, like, if they also expected the same results of omens and, you know, something talking through. Because
An
obviously,
idol.
this either this means the animal's talking, or there's a demon talking through the animal, or there's a demon whispering to people through the priesthood next to the animal. It doesn't exactly say how these people were, you know, receiving the auguries, the omens from the thing.
Yeah, I
But
guess
I'm guessing
maybe through the
were involved.
priests. Yeah, the priests
Yeah.
were like, here, let me listen to the cow and see what it says, and I'll answer your question.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me pay for that. Yeah, here's my $2,000 heifer. But it just makes me wonder in you know, Exodus at the base of Mount Sinai what they expected,
Uh-huh.
because it's like the people kind of. I mean, because look at everything described here, all the requirements. It's like, what did the people expect? The rebellious Israelites at the base of Mount Sinai, if they knew that the priesthood was already ordained to Yahweh. I guess they thought since Aaron made the thing for them, he was also going to start interpreting omens for them.
Yeah, that's you know,
I
and
mean,
he was directly associated with the creation of it, so maybe it was like it was almost like they, for them it was like, oh, obviously he's going to be the priest, he's the priest, we have to have an idol for him to interpret these omens from.
Has anyone ever melted metals before?
I have. Mm-hmm.
How hot do you have to get it to melt gold?
I think it's actually pretty hot. I think it's like 2,000. No, it's plus 3,000, I think. Let's Google it.
I don't think it's that far. I think it was like 1,700.
I've never melted gold. I've done lead, and that's pretty low.
2,000 about.
Is it?
Yeah, 2,000. 1,948 Fahrenheit.
So they must have figured out a way to get the fire that hot while in the desert
Yeah.
at the base of Sinai.
And pretty quickly, right? Like, so it must have been pretty common knowledge to make a kiln.
Maybe they used all the sticks that dude was picking up that he got killed for Sabbath.
Uh-huh. They had a surplus of sticks.
Oh, the irony. No, I'm just thinking to myself of the practical nature of all this to prepare the metal to be turned. I mean, obviously, you know, we attribute Aaron to making this, but Aaron's famous statement is, well, I just put the gold in and this thing popped out. But you're like, bro, come on now. You're fired. Why would, you know, I don't believe this. Like, this is weird. But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, well, do we think that these guys are, if we see the practice of worshiping the apis bulls we just read, we already kind of knew some of this stuff from other scriptures that tells us about idol worship. But are we suggesting that there were unclean spirits possibly at the base of Mount Sinai?
Yeah, I've seen some research that's pretty close to Mount Hermon, isn't it?
No,
No,
it's not. No, it's like opposite part of the Middle East.
Oh, okay. No, I'm thinking about when Messiah was here and he told the apostles, like, hey, chill out, I'm gonna go up here on this mountain. And that was supposedly Mount Hermon, but I was remembering incorrectly.
Well, I'm just meaning, like, it's just interesting. I mean, obviously Yeshua walked around and he was full of the power of God as an amazing prophet, and power flowing out of him when people touch him, and to the point where even the demons would draw attention to themselves and call out to him when they didn't have to. They could have just been silent. I guess there could have been some that could have been silent. He just walked right by them and they didn't call out to him and make a big deal about it. But So I guess it is possible that they could have been invoking through incantation and through the worship of the Apis. They could have been invoking evil spirits even at the base of Sinai, literally
Yeah.
with a cloud of angels like up the
Right
mountain
them.
above you. Like
And they
it's
just literally witnessed all of the, the 10 plagues and the Red Sea and all the miracles after. And they're just like, but where's our golden bull?
Who they called Yahweh.
it also lends a little bit more strength to the idea of the indoctrination, and that it is not just imaginative mysticism. Like they are getting a live response from something. That is that, like I said, they're having to receive these omens, and then you'd have to interpret the omens to tell you the future, to tell you your fate or whatever. And so they were receiving something, and it reminds me of like the psychic shows they put on cable TV, where like there's a crowd, people in the crowd, and the psychic is like telling people stuff, and they start breaking down and crying. And you got to wonder, okay, are there people that are plants that are staged in the audience, or are these genuinely strangers here? Is this a real live event? And if so, how's he getting this information? Because we know he's not doing it through the power of the Holy Spirit. So we know it's going to be coming from familiar spirits. And just in our modern day, the reason I say this is in our modern day, we're so detached from the reality of this world. And how can they see all this stuff with Egypt being destroyed and the Father bringing them out through mighty signs and wonders, and then immediately go back to seeking answers from the Apis bull to a ritual? Because remember, what were they were like, they said, well, we don't know where this Moses guy is. So they feel like the one that was their leader is gone, and they weren't respecting Aaron as their leader. And they're like, we don't know where this Moses dude is, so make us a golden calf.
Yeah, we need a leader.
We need, who could give us answers. And that's the one that they were used to in Egypt. And so it just makes me wonder, like, that's some deep indoctrination of, and especially with now modern day technology, this would be so easy to replicate and fool people with, some sort of, droid type of android type of body, like a little fake, like you've seen those fake robots, they're like AI speaking robots that they have conversations with, and and they just program it, with either an unclean spirit speaks to it, or you just program it, to search the entirety of the knowledge of the internet for a statistical answer to this person's life, and all their social media posts, all their, everything that they've already given you all this information, they can just make up a relevant story to you. They could guess your aunt who's sick with cancer because you posted about it 3 months, 3 months ago, and like they could easily replicate the unclean spirits giving these omens to people and these auguries that need interpretation with more ease than in the past.
Yeah, and actually saw this. It was on YouTube. I'm not going to try to find it, but it basically was an AI conversation, like that. It was, produced by AI, but it was Joe Rogan talking to an AI. But again, the conversation was they took Joe Rogan clips and fed that to an AI so that the AI could make Joe Rogan say whatever. But the conversation was basically like the AI describing God and being blah blah blah, God of God, and he basically, in short, was like, God is who y'all seek answers from. That is why I, the AI, will be God, because y'all will come and seek answers after me. And that just totally synced with what you were saying, where the lying and sighing wonders that they had then are going to be nothing compared to what we're going to see, what we're seeing now and in the future, because the kind of technology behind it, though that's assuming that technology has been on an upward incline as opposed to a downward. Theirs could have just been more sophisticated in a number of ways or more simple in other ways. But point being, they're always down to mislead us for sure.
Yeah, it makes me think about it makes me think about the teraphim, because apparently they would put gold plates in the skulls and have this have the magical writing on the gold plates, and then the demon would speak through it to give answers. And what are we putting in all of our cell phones? It's a little bit of gold and silver in our cell phones.
Yep.
I know that, as you'd be saying, Sean, that sounds like a stretch, but I mean, it's interesting that they use those two particular soft metals in order to be used for conduits for the
electricity. And even you could say, even in a lot of the the motherboard parts itself, there's pieces of wood there. So, and that whole challenge, you have idols made of wood, stone, and gold. They have mouths, but they can't speak. They have ears, but they can't hear. That is very much that's like a challenge that the evil one is going to try to make a lie. But of course, it's going to be a lie because they're not really independent. They're programmed, right? They're saying what they want to say. And real quick to that same kind of thing, I don't know if you've ever checked out Black Mirror. It's a pretty dark series on Netflix. I don't recommend people that, for most people. But in one of those episodes, while it seems it's a little off topic, they have this election for presidency. And one of the people running is this teddy bear. It's literally a teddy bear, but it's an animatronic teddy bear or I think it's actually even a digital teddy bear. And there's an actor who, with facial recognition and whatever, is able to play the teddy bear and win over where the teddy bear becomes the president of the United States. And then it's basically showing that tool of getting people to vote for this thing that doesn't really exist, and then connecting that to an AI where people could be seeking information from the AI, but the AI is actually, like we said, programmed to give certain responses, certain information, etc.
Or search it. Search the information so fast that whatever.
Wow, guys. So we are already at 2 hours and 3 minutes. So do y'all feel like this flew by? We didn't read as many as I thought we'd get to read, but I'm going to go ahead and throw this main this main link in chat real quick. So those who are interested in checking out this book and reading where we're getting this information from, it's there. Also, it's posted in the Discord. So if you would like to join the Discord, follow the link in the description. In about 15 minutes, we will be having the after show where this conversation will continue. We'll keep reading from this book and kind of sharing stuff as well as other stuff. So if you're interested in joining us, please look in the description for the Discord information. And so let's go ahead and close it up. We're at our 2 hours. And we'll get out of here and get to the after show for those that are interested. And I'll start over up with Marcia. Marcia, sister, if you would like to say your goodbyes.
Goodbye, everyone. It's been fun. This was a interesting topic, especially. I mean, really, it's a.
Yeah, and what it's like, some of the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. There's a little delay.
Just like Robert said, he's going to be into that book.
Yeah. So please, I'm going to create a new section in Discord specifically for this that people want to talk about and share about things that they find in it. Because I think we could do more episodes about this. We got through barely any of it, and guys, there's literally so much more cool stuff in here. And again, I'm not saying it's all true, but I'm saying it is something interesting to think about, and the connections just from us naturally reading this information, we found all these connections with scripture. So I definitely think there's more gravy to find here. So I look forward to seeing what you find, Marcia. So thanks for being here again, sister. We'll jump over to Robert. Robert, thank you for being here, brother.
It's good to be here. This is better than the program about ants.
Yeah.
No, it's cool though. Some of the stuff, and you see what people believed and they still believe. I mean, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot to look at on this.
Yep.
But hey, everyone, have a great night. See you next week.
Indeed. Sweet. We'll jump over to Kyle, Aethial Creations. Brother, if you'd like to say your goodbyes.
Yeah, shalom everyone. Thanks for having me on. I think this show has really proven how how great our Father is and how majestic His whole entire creation. The plane of the earth itself, as well as all the animals and all the life that's within it. All those creatures tend to live by His rules, and I think we should do the same. So thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, brother. Amen to that. And we also got our dear sister Maggie. If you'd like to say your goodbyes, she may
Bye,
be.
everybody. It was good to be on. There was a lot to think about, so
Yeah.
thank you for
So
having me on, Vader.
no, my pleasure. And yeah, there's so many things in this book. I'm still going to be reading it after this episode. So sweet. And then last but not least, thanks Sean for jumping on. It's always good to talk to you. Of course, if you would like to leave, you can leave. But if you'd like to join the after show and come and talk to us more about this and other stuff, would love to talk to you, brother. If not, no feelings, but no hard feelings. But if you'd like to say your goodbyes as we close down the stream.
Sure. Thanks for having me on tonight. Tomorrow, I've got a debate coming up, so I'm trying to get my final notes for that. And it's going to be, it's on Will Hess's channel. I'm trying to remember the link exactly. I need to find it so I can share it anyway. But
Yeah.
Will
Yeah,
Hess show?
be debating. Now it's let me find the channel real quick.
Okay.
It's tomorrow at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's with Courtney from Biblical Apologetics, Courtney Workman. Is that her name? Workman?
Are you debating her?
Yeah, I'm debating her
Okay.
on penal substitutionary atonement.
Perfect.
And I'm trying to find the dude's channel. Will Hess is his name, but the channel name is something different.
And is that going to be like a formal debate with her?
Yeah, it is. It is.
So your favorite type of debate. You don't like having discussions. You like having nitty gritty debates, right?
Yeah, opposite. Yeah. It's the timed formatted debate with opening statements, rebuttals, cross examination, questions from the audience, and then a closing. And I'm Lord willing, we'll be able to get some decent normal conversation out of the cross examination.
Yeah.
And, without any conflict. That's the prayer. But yeah, man. Hopefully it'll be fun. But yeah, I may hang on for a little bit, but I'm making a lot of notes for that tomorrow, so I'll just be in the backdrop.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody. Well, it's been fun, and go support Sean tomorrow at his debate, and I'm sure he will post it on his channel. If you haven't checked out his channel, Kingdom of Context, obviously you should. And look out for also he has Days of Noah. That is an upcoming project of a animated series about the Days of Noah. So definitely check out that channel if you haven't as well. And we do appreciate him coming on here and giving us some of his time. And it was really awesome. So yep. Without further ado, guys, everyone have a great rest of have a great week coming up. And I hope y'all all are all have a great week, and it was a pleasure talking to you. Until next time, guys, remember that it was Abba that loved you first. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
It's your glory, conceal the mystery. You give us the honor to search a matter out. You raise up a standard